telecom minister that have been cancelled today. That suggests that prima facie, that's where the illegality was.
I went through the judgment. In the judgment, you find that Mr. Salve, the senior counsel, told the Supreme Court that the licenses issued from 2001 by the NDA government, and also the subsequent thereafter, up to Raja's time, now you are doing it for Raja's death. The Supreme Court made an observation. If you go through the judgment, it is very clear.
So the
petition against those licenses given during NDA regime is not before us. Therefore, the Supreme Court made that observation. And that now Rajiv Chandrasekhar, our honorable member of parliament, telling that they questioned only about the manner of issuing licenses. But Arun Shourie has admitted that the policy itself was illegal, arbitrary, unconstitutional.
No, he has not admitted that. You are saying the Supreme Court, that's your interpretation of the Supreme Court order, sir. But Mr. Narayan Swamy, there's a bigger question, and I'll start with Paranjoy on this. The fact is, at the end of the day, the effort being made by the government to suggest is that this was Mr. A. Raja's wrongdoing. Mr. A. Raja overruled the finance ministry or refused to accept what the finance ministry's advice was. Therefore, the finance ministry has not been indicted today. It's Mr. A. Raja who's been indicted. Why is the blame again coming to Mr. Chidambaram or the Prime Minister when it's Mr. A. Raja whom the Supreme Court is holding responsible today for the illegalities?
It is convenient for the government to interpret the Supreme Court's judgment in this manner. When you tell your child, don't lie, why do you say that? Because in order to cover up one lie, you have to utter 10 more lies. Essentially what has happened. And then let me here talk about the media. And let me name names. Shalini Singh of the Times of India wrote 15 articles before the scam happened. Sunil Jain, working in Indian Express Business Standard, wrote an equal number of articles. I have written articles in the Economic Times. Everybody and his brother knew the scam was happening even before the scam happened and after the scam happened. Now wait, are you saying that Mr. Chidambaram's own officials say that this is not the way you should do, but Mr. Chidambaram is helpless? Are you trying to say that the PMO knew what was going on, but the PM is helpless? Now, this is reflecting extremely poorly on the credibility of the government. Forget this business about collective responsibility and so on and so on. Everybody and his brother knew what was going on.
Just the way decisions were taken. And just the way
you knew what was happening.
You knew what was happening. Mr. Narayan Swamy, it's a sin of omission. Even if it's not a sin of commission, it's a sin of omission. If a minister is committing an act of illegality which you are aware of, surely it's your responsibility to stop him from doing so.
No, I like to correct it. A policy decision that has been taken by the government, which has been continuing, implementation is left with the minister, and the minister commits wrong, or there is the kind of corruption involved, the minister is responsible, not the whole cabinet. When the policy is wrong, the cabinet is responsible. The collective responsibility doesn't come when a person who has been given the responsibility, as a minister, if I am a minister, when I am implementing the policy, when I commit fraud, when I commit mistake, when I am involved in corruption, I am responsible for it, not the whole cabinet, because they are interpreting in such a way. Because now I would like to make it very clear. I would like to make it very clear that the kind of argument that has been coming, the Prime Minister is responsible, and Chidambaram, I would like to say, the Prime Minister told that you will have to ensure that should be transparency.
And if it was not done,
he gave the
are you saying the Prime Minister could not have sacked Mr. Raja? Are you saying the Prime Minister could not have sacked Mr. Raja?
Kindly hear me. You asked the question. Kindly hear me.
Yes.
Because the Prime Minister told him that you should be transparent while allotting the spectrum. That is direction Prime Minister has given.
Yes.
If the minister, if it is wrong on the part of the minister should be held responsible.
Yes.
As far as Chidambaram is concerned, today what Supreme Court is telling that the policy of first come first serve was illegal, arbitrary, and unconstitutional. Chidambaram tried as a finance minister to mop up resources. He wanted action to be there.
Minister.
He tried his best.
Mr. Minister, like you, I have read through all 85 pages of this judgment. And let me tell you, what the Supreme Court has categorically stated is that not only was the policy illegal, so were the procedures. Everything was wrong. And what the Supreme Court has done, I think, is done it's a historic judgment, because what it has tried to do, it has exposed that corrupt nexus between business and politics, and that is really the great significance of this.
Hold on, by the minister. Hold on.
The minister.
Okay.
By the minister.
Okay, hold on. Mahir Jethmalani respond. This argument that the Congress is making, that it's the minister who was responsible for the implementation of the policy. The government can't be held responsible. The entire cabinet can't be held responsible for what Mr. Raja did.
Listen, Rajdeep, if you read the judgment, the judgment has found everything, the policy, its implementation, the spectrum allocation, it has castigated every aspect of what was done.
Yes.
It is true that it did not name any individuals, but that is no consolation for the Congress, because the court was concerned in the legality and in the implementation of a given policy, and whether the resultant allotment of licenses was valid or not. That's all it was concerned with.
Right.
Who is therefore responsible? Now, if a policy is illegal, what has to be found out, and that's the job of the criminal court, is who all are responsible for this faulty implementation. Raja, clearly, the most obvious aspect is advancing the cut-off date to 25th September.
Right.
But did not the government, as late as 2009, through its top law officer, the Attorney General, Mr. Ghulam Mahanvati, defend that cut-off in the Sham Telecom case, which was rejected unceremoniously by the Supreme Court and which has reference in the present Supreme Court decision? The government continued to defend the first-come, the policy and the advancing of the cut-off date in 2009.
Okay.
The most obviously illegal aspect was defended by this government in 2009, and that is the advancing of the cut-off date.
Rajiv Chandrasekhar, do you believe that the government has a leg to stand on when they say that it's Mr. Raja who was responsible for the faulty implementation of the policy? How can the finance minister and the prime minister be held responsible for that?
You know, the strange thing about that argument, Rajdeep, is that it makes it puts forth a postulation that there are no systems of checks and balances in the government, and if there is a rogue minister, he can be a rogue minister that can cause loss of 1,76,000 crores to the exchequer, and you know, all of us will just stand around and watch it happen. That is not how governments are supposed to function.
How do you value this 1,76,000 crores?
No, whatever.
It is pending before the standing committee.
Hold on. Whatever it is.
There's a loss. There's a loss to the exchequer. 122 licenses have been cancelled today. There's a loss to the exchequer. Yes, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Yeah, my point is not so much the number as much as loss to the exchequer. I think there is, any government is supposed to have a system of checks and balances.
Yes.
There are bureaucrats, there are cabinet secretaries, there are secretaries to governments of India, there are ministers, there are cabinets. There is no, I can't imagine a scenario that we will all believe that one minister and a rogue bureaucrat can hold the whole government and the nation to ransom and loot this kind of perpetuate this kind of fraud.
Right.
It's not conceivable to me. And let's assume for a minute that it is true, then clearly we need to reinvent the way governments work, because this can happen tomorrow. It can happen when coalition governments are here to stay. And if the proposition is that every time there's a coalition government, a rogue minister can do what he wants,
right,
then God save us and God save this country.
Mr. Narayan Swamy, 1 minute. No, Mr. Narayan Swamy, isn't it better, sir? Isn't it better?
And all, this is unwarranted.
Okay, Mr. Narayan Swamy, isn't it honest? Isn't it more honest? Mr. Narayan Swamy, 1 minute. Can't you be more honest and say, look, there were coalition pressures. Mr. Raja was an important member of a coalition partner whom we needed. Therefore, we turned a blind eye. In hindsight, we made a mistake. Why not say that? It's an honest way. Why not say that?
It is not like that. When it was known, when it was proved, when it was found that the minister himself has resigned.
How?
You know that
Mr. Narayan Swamy, Mr. Raja became a minister in 2009 again when the UPA was elected, in the same telecom ministry, even though there was a spate of letters written and the Prime Minister was made aware of Mr. Raja's activities.
No, unless until it is prima facie proved, we cannot take any action. You know that. We became minister. Thereafter, there was semblance. Yes. And thereafter, it was
okay.
prima facie when it was there. The minister himself has resigned. And now saying,
yes,
because now saying that when the minister who has given the responsibility,
yes,
he fails to perform his responsibility, the minister alone is responsible, not the whole cabinet. This is my point.
Okay, this is your point. Paranjoy, respond one last time, because the Congress is going to stick to it that until Mr. Chidambaram is made a co-accused, you cannot blame Chidambaram for the actions of Mr. Raja.
All right.
If only he's made a co-accused, can you blame him?
Now look at the timeline. Look at the facts. I'm just sticking to the facts. You arrive at your own interpretation. This scam is supposed to have taken place in January 2008. In May 2009, Mr. Raja becomes minister again. In October 2010, the CBI registers a first information report. In November 2010, Mr. Raja is kicking and screaming, has to put in his papers. 2 days later, the CAG comes with a report. And on the 2nd of February, it's exactly 1 year that Mr. Raja has been behind bars. That's a point. Let's look at some facts and you arrive at your own conclusion. The 5 years that Mr. Karunanidhi was Chief Minister of DMK, there were 34 MLAs belonging to the Congress party who were responsible for him getting a majority in the State Assembly. There are 18 members of Parliament belonging to the DMK in the UPA coalition. Who needed whom the more? What are these compulsions of politics? Did Mr. Karunanidhi need Mr. Manmohan Singh? If Mr. Manmohan Singh also need Mr. Karunanidhi? If they both needed each other, then are they both not equally responsible? And why are you passing the blame on to Mr. Raja?
Before I end this segment, Mahesh Jetpalani, I know you've got to leave us. I'm going to ask you, is the BJP determined, therefore, that that after this Supreme Court judgment, you are going for the head of Mr. Chidambaram? Should you not be waiting to hear what the trial court says? You're a lawyer. There is no criminal culpability proven as yet. Just as you say that... yes, go ahead.
Just quickly, Rajdeep.
Yes.
As far as criminal culpability is concerned, that's the last straw. A government committed to moral standards in implementation of policy, and the Supreme Court judgment is replete about how far they fell short of constitutional obligations regarding allocation. Yes, Mr. Narayan Swami, don't interrupt me now. You may be a minister, but I have to have my say.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm not interpreting.
The
way in which he is telling the moral responsibility.
Hold on. Let Mr. Jetpalani complete.
It doesn't come Yediyurappa.
I am entitled to make my argument, though it may be unpalatable to you.
When it comes to Congress, it comes
I'm sorry, you please listen to me.
Yeah.
It's about time you listen to your critics.
Yes, speak, Mahesh Jetpalani, finish. Go ahead.
Very quickly, Rajdeep.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is that there's collective cabinet responsibility. This is a case in which the Supreme Court has now held that there was loss. In this very judgment, they've said by offloading those shares, there was a loss.
Yes.
The government lost revenue, as is clear from the offloading of shares to HSLR and to Uninor.
Yes.
That itself should make this government hang in shame, because that's the kind of revenue which this country and its poor people cannot afford to lose. It's thousands and thousands of crores.
Should you be waiting till the trial court
on
judgment?
That ground alone.
Should you be waiting till the trial court judgment?
As a lawyer, I will wait for the trial court judgment. Since the finance minister, by a cabinet note, was responsible for the allocation of spectrum in tandem with the communication minister, Mr. Raja, they are both definitely responsible, at least for the allocation of spectrum and the loss that it's caused in this case.
Okay, Mahesh Jetpalani,
he should resign on moral grounds.
Appreciate your joining us. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Paranjoy, Guha Thakurta, Gopal Jain, lawyer who's joining us. Stay with us. Narayan Swami, appreciate your joining us and giving us your Congress perspective, because in a moment, after the break, I'm going to look at the corporates. An important point also needs to be looked at the role of the corporates, not just the politicians. They too have much to answer for. As we head into the break, let's listen in to the Prime Minister's key advisor, Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission. He had spoken to Karan Thapar on Devil's Advocate and had come out in strong defense of the Prime Minister in the case. He had said that the idea that the Prime Minister knew everything that Mr. A. Raja was up to was wrong. Listen in, back in a moment.
The case that the Prime Minister knew or should have suspected that Raja was up to no good seems almost compelling. And the fact that the Prime Minister didn't intervene sounds and looks like either lack of vigilance or worse, negligence. How do you handle that impression? Has the PM lost the battle of perceptions?
Well, look, I think perceptions are changed by people looking at the facts.